We've done kind of two projects at UCLA. Nora will talk about the Armenian part. My part was the Russian part, and mostly what I catalog, of course, is mostly Russian materials, overwhelmingly some other Slavic languages, and I am responsible for Central Asian Cyrillic, but I have plenty of help in my team for those languages too that are obviously not Slavic languages. So again, our project is about automation, doing large, my title, I tried to encapsulate it in my title. So non-Latin parallel script, we're adding these non-Latin parallel script fields, linked fields to bibliographic records via batch processing, batch process automation, so not individually. Okay, so of course you need your programmer to work with you when you embark on something like this. Which we had a great programmer. We obtained the LC Transliterator program, or he did, which was essential. And then we worked with our programmer worked directly with an OCLC liaison to obtain, the targeted records we had scoped out. And he used the OCLC API to retrieve, process, and replace the master records in OCLC, of course, in batches. We, of course, went through testing, gathered large batches and reviewed the results, and we refined our specs for things like Roman numerals and things like that. So this is what we targeted: monographs held by UCLA, and these are our descriptive fields we targeted. Of course, 245, 250, 264, 260, 490, subfield A. I think we all know, this group knows problems when you start trying to get into transliteration of authorized access points, and a lot of Russian, of course, famous authors are anglicized. They're not, their established headings are established authorized access points are not systematically transliterated. So we really didn't want to get into that. I would personally prefer that the non-Latin version of headings remain in the authority records, but that's my own, not in the bibliographic record, but that's my preference, and that's probably for Russian, works for Russian. We tried to avoid mixed script language records as far as we could. Anything with a 041, we rejected. Anything with a equal sign in the 245. So we did our best, and we added to our programming the 588 note, this disclaimer non-Latin script generated programmatically to warn people. And then, of course, the idea is once a person has reviewed the record and made any corrections, if they needed to be, then to take the note out. All right. So we had started planning our project, and kind of OCLC at first said, well, we can't do it, but you guys could work on it. So we started our planning, and then they decided they were going to do it themselves. And we wanted to continue so we could develop our own local process and use it as we needed. Even though we knew OCLC had vast programming abilities we couldn't compete with. But one really good thing about it was that we partnered with them essentially, and we were able to make use of their powerful programming in fixing romanization errors. And the most common, and some of you probably know the Russian, the soft sign, the mягкий знак, so many people had used an apostrophe instead of the ALA character for the Russian soft sign, and they were able to fix a lot of those and other problems. And they did that, of course, for the huge amounts of records they did. Anyway, let's see. So we did our little modest over 25,000 monograph records that we successfully converted. We plan on obtaining our updated records for our local Voyager system via the OCLC Mark update, which we're also working through our specs we need a loader for that. UCLA, we already do that for serials, but we haven't done it for monographs, so it should be simpler for monographs, we think. So OCLC is continuing on. I know they targeted over 1.5 million bibliographic records across format. They didn't limit format like we did. Currently, I checked with them, and they've processed about 993,000 Russian records, and they've done 28,000 Ukrainian. So that's really great. You know, I know they were thinking of doing Serbian, and I recommended that they didn't do it simply because systematically, there's not really any way to identify a Serbian record representing a Cyrillic publication or a Latin publication. As probably some of you know, Serbian is written in both scripts, in the Latin script and Cyrillic. And I thought there would be a unique character in either one in the records, in the Romanized records, but I couldn't find a unique character that said, oh, this was a Cyrillic and this was a Cyrillic publication and this was a Roman publication, unless there's a consistent use of, you know, the 546 note field, which indicates Serbian Cyrillic. So they went ahead with Ukrainian, and I think they're still working on that. And just as a general trend, you know, I'm not a statistician, but from from presentations I've attended at ALA and from my own Boolean searching in OCLC, it appears that we have increased the Cyrillic in Russian records by quite a lot. So, yeah. And of course, this is OCLC's large-scale project effort. You know, we can't really take credit for that, millions of records. So that's very exciting and I know I'm preaching to the choir here for adding the native script to the record. And of course, a little bit of before and after in our catalog. And of course, you know, we'll be searching in both scripts, you know, for a while, obviously. But I know that it's a great public service to have the original script in the record. And I have actually had experience sitting at the reference desk, which I do, well, I used to do when we were in person, of a patron looking for an Arabic book, and he couldn't find it, and he swore we should have it. You know, it's a definite thing we would have. So then I thought, oh, okay, maybe we've got Arabic script in the record, and he flipped the keyboard to the Arabic keyboard, and he found it right away, because, so, you know, it's a great public service, again, to have the script. And I know I'm preaching to the choir in this group. Well, I think these are just my simple reasons for doing it, which I've already, Iman has given many reasons, of course, for why we want the script in the record. So I think these are kind of self-evident. I was able to help that patron directly by searching the non-Latin script. So OCLC, I think, is still continuing with Russian. And of course, I was kind of surprised to learn that when I checked in, that they've completed a lot of Ukrainian. Oh, there's my Serbian example. I already mentioned that. Whereas we did Armenian, which Nora Vetyan is working through, and she's going to talk about that in some detail next. We could do some other languages. We had planned, we wanted to do Armenian, and so we've kind of done that. But maybe there'll be some other language we could work on, because we've got our process down fairly well. Well, and thank you. And so I think I'm done for now.